Ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to the 2020 FCSAA State Basketball Tournament. This next contest has the Commodores of Gulf Coast State College taking on the Sharks of Miami-Dade College. And now, for our starting lineups. First, for our visitors on the scoreboard, the Gulf Coast State College Commodores.
Welcome in Northwest Florida State College. This is Raider Arena in Niceville, Florida, as we get set for semifinal number one on the women's side. We had two lopsided men's games earlier to set up an all-Panhandle Conference final, and on the women's side we could have an all-Panhandle Conference final as well. This game going to feature the Gulf Coast Commodores taking on the Miami-Dade Sharks, led by Delia Brown. She had 41 in their quarterfinal matchup. That was a state record. And then the Commodores, it was a big win. There's Alana Smith, Leah Farsi being introduced as we get going here for Emerald Coast TV. I'm Jake Mitchell, joined by Mike Rideout. And Mike, couple of really lopsided, as I said, men's semifinals. A couple of women's games coming up. Do you see these ones being tighter, or do you think we're going to have a couple of big winners as well tonight?
You know, that's a good question, because it's a Miami-Dade team that, put up 87 points in the quarterfinals against Santa Fe College. Gulf Coast knocked off the number 12 team in the country, Florida Southwestern, to advance. You mentioned the 41 points by Brown. That's obviously going to be the key in this one for Miami-Dade. Can they find a way to slow her down? Meanwhile, for Gulf Coast, they've got two big players to contend with, and Bondu and Gregg, who combined for 46 points. Should be a great matchup here in the semifinals.
Starting lineups being introduced, and a chance to book a trip to the championship game tomorrow night. There is Alice Markova, and you see the introductions of Miami-Dade. Susan Summons in charge of the Sharks. It's the legendary Rooney Scoville who leads the Commodores in this one. Gulf Coast earlier booking their spot in the championship game with a huge win over the College of Central Florida. The female Commodores looking to do the same here. But again, as you mentioned, they're going to have to contend with Delia Brown, as well as a lineup that includes Asla Morrow, Amari Young. Alice Markova can hit the deep shot. Larissa Abreu inside for the Sharks is a strong presence. So two great teams that should create a really fascinating matchup here this afternoon as we get set to get rolling here from Raider Arena, again in Niceville, Florida. I'm Jake Mitchell as you take a look at our broadcast booth before we tip off here. Starting five for the Commodores: Alana Smith, Naomi Mbondu, Fatu Bagate, Tatiana Jones, and Leah Farsi. For the Sharks, it'll be number 12, Delia Brown. Alice Markova, along with Anijah Payne. Rounding it out, Amari Young. There's Leah Farsi, who takes control, and the Commodores win the tip. Alana Smith takes a mid-range jumper to open things, but no good. We'll see how the Sharks counter. There's Delia Brown, stolen away by Alana Smith. Looks like she stepped out though, so ball will go back to the Sharks. It's Alana Smith and Delia Brown, the two primary weapons in this game. They both getting touches early in this one, but both teams also have threats outside of that main player. That's part of the reason they've gotten all the way here to this point in the postseason.
Even though Gulf Coast State College is number 6 nationally, they are a runner-up. They finished 8-4 in the Panhandle Conference. Miami-Dade was also a runner-up. They finished 7-5 in the Southern Conference.
Mari Young with the basketball. Inside, there's Morrow. Ball off of Bagate. It was a nice play there by Anijah Payne. She's wearing number 2 tonight.
Miami-Dade coming off of back-to-back Southern Conference championships and state tournament appearances in 2018 and 2019 for finishing runner-up this season. But another great year for Coach Susan Summons. 34 years at the helm at Miami-Dade College. Her 25th trip to the state tournament. She was embracing Coach Scoville before the game.
Alana Smith no good from deep. Yeah, great coaching matchup here. You know, in the out of bounds, Bondu was chasing it, but in our previous game, it was a men's matchup, and the two head coaches, Zach Setembre and Jeremy Schulman, two younger coaches that came up together.
Whereas
this is a matchup of legendary.
Yeah, Summons in her 34th year, Scoville in her 22nd year, and we were talking about this yesterday. Maybe the best job that Rooney Scoville has done with this year's team, when you consider the fact, as that one is good by Nazamaro, when you consider the fact that they had 5 season-ending injuries this year. They also played against a Massey Ratings #1 strength of schedule. Wins against Chipola, which was ranked 11th in the country. Beat them twice. Beat Northwest Florida State College, the #5 team in the country, twice. They beat #22 Eastern Florida State College. They beat #4 Shelton State. They beat #12 Florida Southwestern State College twice. They've navigated their way to now a 22-4 overall record.
Markova taking all the way. A great layup from Markova there to put this 4-0 lead early on.
Markova, #3 in the state, 14.5 points. Number 10 in field goal percentage too.
Excuse me, Delia Brown on the fast break bucket. This Miami-Dade team, we talked about the coaching job that Rooney Scoville has done. Miami-Dade, it's a small coaching staff. It's just Susan Summons and her assistant, Erica Redmond. They get the job done, though. You know, a lot of these staffs that get to this point, you've got 3 or 4 assistants, but it's just a 2-man job for the Miami-Dade Sharks. There's a look at Rooney Scoville. Checking in is Deasia Gregg, and Deasia Gregg was huge for this Commodore team in that opening game of this tournament.
Yeah, in fact, I mentioned earlier, not only Gregg, but also Mbondu, they combined for 46 points, 26 for Gregg on 11 of 14 shooting from the floor. Mbondu took 19 shots, made 7, but she was also 4 of 12 from behind the arc.
Connects on that one to Naz Lamaro, an early 7-0 lead for the Shark team. Alana Smith. Oh, wild pass. Gregg not able to contain it, and Delia Brown can't get it to go. Gregg there to gather the board. Alana Smith mid-range. She's long, brought in by Markova. Oh, well, pass ahead there. That's Naz Lamaro.
Yeah, there's got to be concern right now. The Commodores are not getting back defensively. It's a 9-0 run to start. And it just seems like they have come ready to play, and Gulf Coast State College has not. Still early, though.
Yeah, just 3 minutes gone now. 9-0 lead for the Sharks. Bondu from the corner. That one's long, brought in by Brown. That was an open shot, and if you're the Commodores, I think you just hope you keep getting looks like that and they start to fall as this one goes on. Tapped away by Tatiana Jones, gathered by Markova, but there's some defensive pressure from the Commodores. 11 on the shot clock. Delia Brown, she'll pull up from deep. No good, brought in by Smith. Smith loses it, appeared to be Delia Brown. Whistled for that one.
That'll put Alana Smith at the line. Smith averages 20.8 points per game. She is signed with Louisville, a UCLA transfer. Twice this year was named the FCSAA Player of the Week.
After that foul, Brown, right in front of our broadcast position, she saying to herself, can't believe I missed that layup. Still frustration from that fast break opportunity. She had 41 in the quarterfinal matchup. There's Alana Smith making that free throw to open the scoring for the Commodores. Smith will take a seat at in come Rashara Simmons, Larissa Abreu checking in for the Sharks, and early change for the Commodores, looking to find a spark. Markova, some pressure from the Commodores. Markova loses it. There's Leah Farsi to gather and put that basket in. Now a 9-3 ball game. Signs of life from the Commodores after a slow first few minutes. Batted away, gathered by Delia Brown.
Farsi was a second-team All-Panhandle Conference selection. 13th nationally in assist-to-turnover ratio.
Delia Brown taking all the way, defended by Tatiana Jones. Put back no good, and Jones gathers the rebound. Farsi back to Mbandu. Mbandu will pull up from three, and there it goes. So, mentioned earlier, you like the open looks, and you hope that eventually they start falling. Well, from almost the exact same spot, there's Naomi Mbandu for three.
She is a University of Miami signee, a first-team All-Panhandle Conference selection, averaging 14.5 points coming in. She scored a season-high 31 points, including 7 threes against Pensacola State. As I noted, she made 4 threes in the quarterfinal win against Florida Southwestern State College. In that game, Gulf Coast State College outscored the Buccaneers 33-10 in bench points.
(9-6) is the early lead, so with our first stoppage, we'll take a break and reset things. I'm Jake Mitchell. He's Mike Rideout as we get going in semifinal number 1 on the women's side. It's the road to Lubbock, and to follow all things involving the road to Lubbock, follow at Region 8 Hoops on Twitter. That's at Region VIII Hoops. Gonna throw in that Roman numeral there. And that's where you can find all the highlights, video of teams in the locker room post-win, update you on the brackets and more. This has been a great weekend of action.
Now, I mentioned the slow start for Gulf Coast State. 5 turnovers here in this first quarter. No assists and 5 turnovers. Yet with a 6-0 run, they're only down 3 now.
And behind Markova, up in the top few rows of that area of the stands, is the Raider women. They'll play in the final game tonight, an 8 p.m. tip, and they're going to play the winner of this game. Pass inside, it's inaccurate. Abreu reaching out, grabbing at that left ankle area, calf area. We'll keep an eye on that. Farsi to Simmons, back to Farsi now. Inside to Greg. Greg loses it, but called on that one. Looks like Larissa Abreu. Correction, that's Nazla Morrow. Asia Gregg will shoot 2. She was pivotal in that quarterfinal matchup.
First time these two teams have met this season.
Tatiana Jones and Alana Smith are set to check back in for the Commodores. Looks like Amari Young will come in for the Sharks after this free throw. The 9-8 game now. So the Commodores have answered the early surge from the Sharks, and we have a tight one.
Greg was a Georgia Tech transfer. She's now an FSU commit. First team All Panhandle Conference selection. That's her first points of the game. Another turnover. That's turnover number 5 for Miami-Dade, and that's helped the Commodores get back in this game. And now, for the first time today, the Commodores will have a chance to take their first lead.
And one interesting aspect of this game is it's about winning right now, but also kind of wonder which one of these teams is Greg misses, gathered by Morrow, Delia Brown pushing up, but which one of these teams is going to make the final? And if it is the Raiders that they meet, the turnovers against one of the better defensive teams in the country, that can be your undoing.
That team 3rd in the country in points given up per game.
Not even guaranteed, though, that the Raiders advance. They've got to win tonight against the College of Central Florida. Farsi drains the free throw jumper.
That's 4 points for the second team All Panhandle Conference selection. Sophomore recorded a double-double earlier this year at number 11 Chipola to clinch the team's berth in the state tournament. 12 points and 10 assists, which was a season high for her in assist.
Alana Smith, another free throw jumper. That one doesn't go. Smith gathers the rebound and banks it in.
That's her first field goal.
Up tomorrow, guarded by Mbandu. Short and brought in by Mbandu. Farsi once again working on her opposite number 10. That's Amari Young. Mbandu with the three. She's fouled, and she will shoot 3 foul shots. Will Naomi Mbandu, a critical early mistake from Amari Young for the Sharks.
Mbandu, a 64% free throw shooter. Foul was called on Amari Young. That's her first, team third.
Savannah Slade checking in for the Commodores, taking the place of Deasia Gregg. You mentioned Gregg, the Florida State commit, and so many different commits playing in this tournament on both the men and women's sides.
Well, just on the Gulf Coast side, Florida State, Miami, Louisville. Savannah Slade, Southern Miss.
Game 3 of day 3 today, and it's been a privilege to call so many great games, so many great players, and we've got 2 women's semifinals remaining, and then a men championship game and a women championship game tomorrow night. Tatiana Jones powerfully brings in the rebound. Farsi crosses up Delia Brown. Inside to Jones, and Jones goes up and gets it.
Can I change my comment that when I said that they weren't ready to play?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. No, there was maybe a 2 or 3 minutes at most at the beginning, but
yeah,
since then it's been all Commodores.
It's a 16-0 run.
Gardner breaks up the run. Timely basket from Gardner to stop the bleeding and get this back to just a 5-point game. Still very early, obviously. There's Gardner with, she gathers the steal. It was initially forced by Anijah Payne. Brown kicks over to Payne. Payne gonna pull up from the corner. She's no good. Morrow gathers the board and is fouled by Tatiana Jones.
That's just the first foul whistled against the Commodores. Wait, no, I'm missing one. Might be the second.
Delia Brown calling out instructions as Morrow hits the second free throw. Larissa Abreu checking back in, taking Morrow's spot in this one. Alana Smith drives baseline, gets past Gardner and Abreu, and kicks inside to Gregg, who's tied up.
Going to be a 3-second call. Coach Susan Summons over on the sideline, arms crossed. She recently won her 600th career game against Daytona. That's among the top winningest active coaches in America.
How about Gardner there? Gardner putting this one on her shoulders.
It's 4 points off the bench for Gardner.
Now just a 1-point game, so what looked like a Commodore surge was slowed down by Gardner. Miss from Smith. Brown with the board. Off the Gardner screen. Oh, Gardner lost it. Alana Smith has a wide open floor to just lay it in.
Yeah, That's easy.
As easy as it gets.
That's the 6th turnover for Miami-Dade. They've got to cut down on their turnovers if they want to have a chance to beat this really good Commodore basketball team. Miami-Dade had a bunch of turnovers against Santa Fe, 28.
Tied up. Looked like it was Savannah Slade and Alice Markova. Off the deep miss from Dalia Brown.
First foul on Abreu. 14th foul against the Sharks. And we have yet to really see Dalia Brown get going. She was 10 of 15 from the floor, but 20 of 24 from the free throw line. You know, that's impressive when you think about the fact that she got to the free throw line 24 teams, and the Tallahassee men got to the free throw 0 times in the previous game.
I'm still stunned by that number from our second game. Literally 0 foul shots for an entirety of a contest from the Eagles, but Zach Settembre and Tallahassee brought home a victory.
That's because they hit 11 threes in the game.
Dalia Brown taking, and she's fouled by Leah Farsi.
Yeah, that'll be a tough matchup for Farsi today. Brown, a 2-time Southern Conference Player of the Year, averaging 26.3 points. She had her 5th triple-double to lead Miami-Dade College in a huge conference win and a berth to the state tournament. 31 points, 13 rebounds, 12 assists against Indian River Community College.
I don't think the clock ever started there. Timing mishap, so we'll clear things up. But one note, you know, Miami-Dade interim athletic director Alicia Dyer in charge right now, and whatever the situation is with the AD position at Miami-Dade, whoever ends up taking over is going to inherit a women's basketball program that has been successful for a long time, and she's got a great coach in Susan Summons.
Yeah, no question. Summons also a 6-time Hall of Fame honors, recently inducted into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame in Tennessee for women's professional basketball, a basketball pioneer. 93% graduation and placement rate of her players to Division I. Tenured coach in Florida known as the Ambassador.
Still straightening things out here. It was a foul shot and a rebound, and play began, but the clock didn't begin. So I think just sorting out what that situation is going to be here, and we'll be underway shortly. 23.6 to go in this first quarter. There's a look at the crew. You've got a few different folks from different programs behind that press row. This has been a great tournament, been put on by the Raiders of Northwest Florida State. They've done everything in their power to make this a fun atmosphere this weekend, and we've had a blast. We've still got 4 games left to go, including this one. Abreu tries to put it back up. No good. Finally gathered by Morrow as time dwindles down in the first quarter. It was Morrow with a big basket there.
And she's got 9.
Short on the deep 3 was Leah Farsi. So we end the first 10 minutes of this one. 18-17 to score. The Commodores in the lead, led by Rooney Scoville. And 18-17, we just had a game previously that was 19-17 at halftime, so quicker or more output in this one, and could be looking at a great offensive game.
Yeah, that's just a quarter of action. We still have another quarter to go. That just gives you an idea of what it was like in that Tallahassee Eastern Florida State game to have a 19-17 game after one half. Both these teams capable of putting up a lot of points. Miami-Dade coming into the tournament averaging 80 points a game. Gulf Coast State averaging 77 points per game. So I would expect a lot of points in this one.
Absolutely. So Raider Arena preparing for the home team to tip off at 8 p.m. It'll be the Northwest Florida State Raiders taking on the College of Central Florida. You see a lot of red starting to make its way into this arena. You look around and it's going to be an electric atmosphere, especially if they meet one of these teams. If Gulf Coast advances, it'll be an all Panhandle Conference affair, and with the short trip, that should create an electric mood here in Raider Arena.
Also in the house, former University of Kentucky coach Tubby Smith.
That was one that we were talking about this off the air, kind of did the double take, and
yeah,
that is one of those that makes you pinch yourself a little bit, especially as a young guy like me, who Tubby was at Kentucky when I first really started showing an interest in the game of basketball. Leah Farsi brings it up now.
I mean, it was kind of neat having Nate Oates, but
Absolutely.
I would put Tubby Smith above him. As far as, you know, like you said, you when you were young, growing up, getting into sports, he was at Kentucky, was Tubby Smith.
Well, and you mentioned Nate Oates, who was in the house on Wednesday. Bondu no good, gathered by Tatiana Jones. It's out of bounds. But you mentioned Nate Oates, who was in the house on Wednesday, and he's only not on that level yet because he's still writing his story. So
yeah,
first year at Alabama, and there's been some exciting signs there for the Crimson Tide. That in-state rivalry, by the way, now Bruce Pearl and Nate Oates, the Iron Bowl basketball has become a blast to watch every year. Here's Leah Farsi, Deja Gregg now as we get underway in this second period. Out of bounds, and it'll be Shark basketball. You know, Smith and Oates, two guys here to check out men's players, but we've had plenty of scouts walking around, and you've made this remark that you can always tell when you see the jumpsuit, the full team jumpsuit and the logo, that's usually the telltale sign.
Yeah.
And we've had plenty of those around this arena. Dalia Brown, right wing, banks it in.
Well, maybe that'll get her going here a little bit. That's her 5th point. Again, 41 points for Brown in the quarterfinals, to go along with 14 boards.
Alana Smith banks it in, so trading bank shots are the two stars.
And coming in, I thought it might be that type of battle, Smith and Brown.
That's a nice turnaround from Abreu.
She's starting to heat up now, all 4 of her points here in the quarter.
Tatiana Jones just long. Morrow grabs the rebound. Dalia Brown now, we'll see how the Sharks counter. Tipped away by Farsi. Covered by Brown, though. Whistle will go against Leah Farsi.
Let's see if she remains in the game. That's her 2nd personal. And it looks like she's going to head to the bench.
Indeed, it'll be Rashara Simmons that checks in. And we've talked about it. Alana Smith, kind of the highlight of the Gulf Coast team, and she's the offensive star. Ooh, a hard landing on that one.
And that's going to be number 2 on Dalia Brown. Will she remain in the game with her 2nd foul? She's also holding her wrist. Looks like she's okay, but obviously with 2 fouls and still almost an entire 2nd quarter to go.
How about Gregg getting over and taking that charge? Alana Smith running by Abreu, a whistle there, but to kind of complete the thought on Alana Smith, and as Leah Farsi went out, you know, Alana Smith is kind of the offensive star of this team, but Leah Farsi is the stabilizing force at point guard. She's often facilitating this offense, so having Farsi in foul trouble is definitely not ideal. Leah Brown bringing it up. She fell hard on that charge call earlier and was holding the wrist. We'll keep an eye on that. She goes to her left. Brought in by Abreu. Morrow can't get it. Brown grabs the board and splits the defenders to put it back in. How about a great play from Delia Brown? And oh, that's unfortunate. Larissa Abreu went down and she immediately reached for that left knee. Looked like it was a couple of players tied up there, so Abreu down. That's an unfortunate sight. Well, now trainers coming out to look. There's a chance to look at the replay. It was, oh, so it looks like Brown kind of rolls in there at the bottom of your screen. Rolls into Abreu. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's the worst spot to get rolled up on.
There comes Coach Summons to check on her.
See Rooney Scoville giving some instructions, and Summons and Raider and Shark Athletic trainers help Abreu up. The round of applause for her. We certainly hope she's okay. They'll take her to the locker room and they'll check out that knee. And again, she was rolled up. That was unfortunate. She's such an important role player for this Shark team. You know, we spend so much time talking about Delia Brown, but Larissa Abreu inside is a big key for them. We hope to see her once again. Maybe may not play again in this one, and again, unofficial. We have no word on that yet. She just went to the locker room, but hope that she's able to at least come back out and sit with her teammates.
And even though she comes off the bench, she is 11th in the state in rebounding at 8.8 a game. She's getting Division I attention. She was a second team All-Southern Conference selection. That's a big loss for Miami-Dade. And how many times did we see Delia Brown split defenders against Santa Fe College?
She made a living on that, and she did it to get to the basket earlier. 6 on the shot clock. The Alana Smith shot no good, and we'll get you an update on Abreu as soon as we possibly can. We know that oftentimes extended family and others watch, so especially use the stream when you're far away from a friend or a family member. So we will get you posted as soon as possible on Abreu's status. She went down and looked to be in some pain, but she did walk off with not a ton of pressure on that leg. Back to the action now, inside to Gregg. Travel call on Deasia Gregg.
Couple of tough trips. Gregg got the personal the last trip down, turns it over this time. It's 9 turnovers for Gulf Coast.
And that was the perfect image there. You saw Delia Brown bringing it up with a couple of Raider women in the background there, scouting out who could potentially be their opponent, but also the Raiders preparing for their own semifinal as Delia Brown gets it to go.
Yeah, just kind of muscled her way up and in. Brown with 7 points.
Pass ahead to Gregg. She's fouled. Can't get it to go, but she'll get a chance to go to the line.
Delia Brown had over 50 Division I colleges recruiting her, and she committed to Division I powerhouse Liberty under Coach Kerry Green.
That was another tracksuit we saw walking around here in between games. Now, Liberty, it's a university that has athletically risen up a ton in recent years. Hugh Freeze, head football coach over at Liberty.
Yeah, that's right.
Made headlines when he coached from the hospital bed up in the press box earlier in the season. Delia Brown guarded by Rashara Simmons. 7-point lead for the Sharks. Markova stolen by Simmons. Going all the way and doing it herself is Rashara Simmons.
First points of the game for the freshman.
Head to Anijah Payne. Inside to Morrow. Not able to get it to go. It was a good look from Payne, but Morrow was just a little strong on that shot. Oh, nice look inside to Greg. Now outside to Alana Smith. The extra pass from Greg, but can't connect. Bondu and looked like Anijah Payne fighting for that ball, and appears it'll stay with the Sharks.
Foul will go against Payne.
Oh, correction, it'll be Commodore basketball.
Yeah, I thought they called a foul on, but yeah, they did. That's the first on Anijah.
Rashara Simmons kicks over to Smith now. Can't go. Bagate fighting for the rebound, but it's Amari Young that wins it. And now Delia Brown. She thought she may have been bumped on the transition there, but no whistle. Will play on. Under 20 on the shot clock. Amari Young over to Markova. Thought about stepping back, but instead gives back to Delia Brown. Under 10 on the shot clock. Brown tripped up as she goes to the basket. Delia Brown has been on the floor several times, and all credit in the world for putting your body on the line, but after that looked like a wrist injury earlier, if you're the Sharks, you kind of wince every time your star goes to the floor.
Yeah, because she is so important. Two-time WBCA first-team All-American, All-State, All-Conference. She's led the nation in state in scoring and assist all season. One of the strongest rebounding guards in the country, too, at 8.9, which ranks 8th in Florida. So not only her ability to score, but also to get to the rim and get rebounds as well.
Here's your wide look at Raider Arena and our friends over on the opposite end of press row. We're at the bottom of your screen as we look at a few of the first half highlights. The Delia Brown banked in three, and her and Alana Smith doing battle in this one. 4:28, 5-point lead for the Sharks. Winner of this one gonna play tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. primetime game. They'll play the winner of Northwest Florida State and the College of Central Florida. An updated look at your numbers. It's 32% from the field for the Commodores and just 1 of 13 from behind the arc. They trail by 5, so you can kind of see where the difference is. And another big aspect of this one is the fact that there's a 15-8 advantage for the Sharks when it comes to points off of turnovers.
And, you know, it is a team that will shoot the three, 7 threes on the season. You mentioned just 1 of 13 shooting so far. So the only 3 belongs to Mbondu.
There's a look at the Raiders, who watch on as they see their potential opponent. Of course, the Raiders have business to handle their own tonight.
Yeah, against a College of Central Florida team that may be playing its last basketball game as they shut down the three athletic teams at Central Florida.
How about a sequence there? Rashara Simmons steals it from the inbounder and then loses it, and Delia Brown with the basket to make it a 7-point game. Bondu from the corner. That one's short.
Brown
loses it. That one tipped away by Anijah Payne.
Delia Brown now has 9 here in the quarter. 11 for the game, so she's already in double figures.
She's playing well. Maybe we're taking advantage of it after the 41-point performance the other day. She's on pace for a really tremendous game. Break a state record, though. Following it up is always going to be difficult. Markova looked like it was the last touch on Greg. Oh, there's a Larissa Abreu checking back in. So
that's a good sign.
Yeah, perhaps just a scare. And a lot of times those injuries, you get hit initially, and that initial wave of pain can be worse than the actual injury. So that's been the case several occasions. We've had a few players go down with what looked to be an injury this weekend, but no major injuries have happened. So that run continues, and obviously grateful for that. Danella Gardner from the free throw line.
Well, Jake, the foul was called on Deasia Gregg. That's going to be her second. So Farsi, Jones, and Gregg all have 2 fouls apiece.
Yeah, Rooney Scoville going to have to put on another great coaching job today, because not only has she dealt with 5 season-ending injuries this year, and not only has she dealt with so much adversity, not only has she dealt with an in-conference opponent in the Raiders that have frustrated the Commodores this year, but now she's got to deal with players in foul trouble. A look pass inside to Gregg, kicks to Smith. Smith stolen by Amari Young, just an ill-advised pass. Delia Brown will settle things down. Leah Farsi getting ready to check back in. That shot no good. Simmons pushing up the floor. Smith in the corner, guarded by Markova. There's Simmons wide open, but wide right. Well, lands hard, does Deasia Gregg. This is a physical basketball game in this first half.
That will be the second foul on Abreu.
None of the...
It was fortunate for Gregg because she was underneath the basket. It's fortunate to draw some contact and will shoot free throws, and she is 3 for 4 from the line here in the first half. Still looking for her first field goal.
It's Tiana Hutchinson that checks in for the Commodores. And it's been a physical basketball game in this first half, but none of the technicals or none of the jawing that we had in that opening game. The men of College of Central Florida falling to the Gulf Coast Commodores.
Gregg has missed 2. She's an 80% free throw shooter.
6-point ball game as the final 180 seconds of this first half. Off the Morrow screen, guarded by Bagate is Brown. Amari Young will pull up from deep. How about Amari Young?
Well, that's what she's been doing all year. She's 6th in the state, shooting 40% behind the arc.
Oh, there's Anijah Payne gathering the basketball, and Delia Brown once again will push up as the Sharks look to extend that lead. Hole for the Commodores now, a 9-point deficit that they face.
I got an offensive foul away from the basketball.
It looked like Abreu was battling down low. Now Danella Gardner going to check in for Abreu.
Yeah, because she just picked up her 3rd foul.
Shara Simmons will bring it up the floor. And Abreu, a tough first half. She went out with what looked like a knee injury, able to get back in this one, and then almost immediately gets foul number 3. Gregg working to get it up, but doesn't go.
With Abreu not in the game, they quickly went inside too.
Gregg, they go back inside. Gregg can't get it to go, and Naz Morrow pulls in the rebound. Amari Young from the same spot. There's an attempt. That one far too strong, though. Brought in by Hutchinson. Oh, and just lost it to Tiana Hutchinson. Anijah Payne, another big play from Anijah Payne. There's Amari Young. Can't get it to go. And Anijah Payne once again putting her body on the line to go get that basketball. I believe she was whistled for a foul, though.
Yeah, that'll be her second. Good effort, but number 2 on her. Her and Brown have 2 fouls apiece.
effort in this basketball game has been absolutely tremendous. Two teams that will do anything to win this game and get to the championship tomorrow night.
Officials having a discussion at midcourt. I'm not sure what this conversation might be about. Maybe the shooter, who the shooter should be.
Still some confusion, not sure what conference is all about. You see,
they indicated 20
Simmons
rather, to shoot.
So now with everything squared away, Rashara Simmons.
Simmons shoots 63.6%, averages 3.1 a game.
And Elijah Payne was whistled for that foul. Delia Brown working it up the floor. Kicks inside to Payne, and Elijah Payne has had a strong first half in this one.
Gulf Coast able to get to the foul line 13 times in this first half.
Hutchinson kicks inside to Greg. Foul call, and Greg signaling to Hutchinson that was the right decision. Let's go back to that one in the future. Abreu checking back in along with Alice Markova.
And the foul called on Amari Young, so she becomes the fourth player for Miami-Dade to have at least 2 fouls in this first half. Again, Greg at 80% shooting on the year, 16.3 points per game. And that gives her 5 here in the first half.
Greg strong on the second, but it rolls in. Brown guarded by Simmons. She gets past half court. Screen picked up by Bagate, who falls down. Gardner goes inside. Can't able to get it to go, and Gardner had a wide open Markova. Markova, a good three-point shooter on the left wing, but didn't see her. Greg can't get that one to go. Hutchinson and Young fighting for it. It's Amari Young that gets it. Kick ahead from Brown to Danella Gardner.
6 points for Gardner, her first points of the second quarter.
Bondu from the corner. Drains it, does Naomi Mbondu.
She hit one in the opening quarter. That's her first points of the second quarter. Big three there by the sophomore who is signed with Miami.
Amari Young from the right side. No good on that one. So she's hit one deep one, but also had a few inaccurate misses.
They're going to play for the final shot.
Inside Greg. Greg is blocked, and Abreu went down. I think Abreu got hit in the face. Is up ahead. Amari Young gets the basket and throwing it up to end the half. What a tough first half for Larissa Abreu. She went down with a knee injury. She got into foul trouble, then ends the half by, I think she got hit in the face there by Deasia Gregg. Not intentional, just a incidental contact. But man, Larissa Abreu, just a tough first half for the Sharks. And Sharks tough as a team in this first half. 37-30 is the score. They lead by a touchdown over the Commodores. Rooney Scoville going to take her Gulf Coast team to the locker room and see what adjustments they can't make. But impressions on an impressive first half from these Sharks.
It was, 17 points in the opening quarter, 20 in the second. In fact, they limited Gulf Coast to only 12 points in that second quarter. So Miami-Dade looking to pull the upset, trying to get to the final. 7-point lead here at the half against the number 6 team in the country.
Absolutely. This is shaping up to be a fun one down the stretch. Two teams playing their absolute hearts out. I'm Jake Mitchell. He's Mike Rideout for Emerald Coast TV. We'll take a break and rejoin you for the second half of action live from Raider Arena on the campus of Northwest Florida State College.
Hello, and welcome to Raider Arena. My name is Devin Stevenson, and I'm president. We are proud to host the 2020 Men's and Women's NJCAA District 8 State Basketball Championships. Northwest Florida State College, along with Okaloosa and Walton counties, are thrilled that you are visiting our community and hope that you have an opportunity to experience all that we have to offer on the Emerald Coast. The student athletes participating in these championships exemplify the spirit of sportsmanship and commitment to excellence. We applaud their dedication and determination on the court and in the classroom. Enjoy the games and our beautiful Emerald Coast.
Second half of action set to get underway here. Just under a minute away. The Gulf Coast Commodores and the Miami-Dade Sharks. It's the Sharks that lead by a score of 37-30 here early in, or here as we get set for this second half. A surprising result, kind of walking around in between the second and third period, a sense of surprise around this arena as the Sharks have a 7-point lead against the Commodores of Gulf Coast. You mentioned the 6th-ranked team in the country.
Well, you remember, it took them a little while to get on the scoreboard early in that first quarter, and I thought, well, maybe we might be headed towards an upset. And then the Commodores seemed to settle in, and I thought, well, maybe not, but give Miami-Dade credit because they were able to extend the lead again. They got a good first half from Delia Brown, 11 points for her. Also, Naz Morrow with 9 first-half points. And two other things, in fact, that jumped out at me at the stats. In the paint, Miami-Dade outscored Gulf Coast State 24-12. And there were 14 turnovers in the first half for Gulf Coast State. That led to 17 points for Miami-Dade.
Underway here in the final 20 minutes of action. Bagate kicks over to Smith. Nasmaro grabs the rebound. Markova now. And Delia Brown will bring it up. She scored 41.
Yeah, and one thing we did want to correct, we were told that it was a state record, but after looking at the record books, individual single game highs from the FCSAA tournament, Deborah Thompson scored 53 in 1978, Pensacola versus Central Florida.
There's Bagate inside. Now you mentioned it, that Brown 41-point performance the other day was the highest total since 1992, so putting herself in the record books. Bondu from the corner, no good.
Sharana Alexander, Northwest Florida versus Central in 1992. Also Rhonda Baptiste, Palm Beach versus Northwest Florida in 95, had 43. Yolanda Griffith, Palm Beach versus Pensacola in 1990, had 42.
Can't get that one to go though, Can Brown. She had 11 in the first half, and after the 40, Markova bumped Bondu.
But Delia will have her name in the record book. You'll be able to see her in the program next year.
It says a lot about a player when 11 first half points feels pedestrian.
Yeah, right?
I mean,
she scored
so
20
good.
just from the foul line in that quarterfinal win against Santa Fe.
And the thing that makes her a truly impressive player, she doesn't just do it offensively. She is an effort player. She plays hard on defense. As Alana Smith, short from the corner. Bondu gathers, fouled by Markova. But Brown, she was on the floor 4 or 5 times in the first half. She is as tough as they come.
That's the 3rd foul on Alice Markova.
Markova was a boon to the effort of the Sharks yesterday. She hit a couple big threes. Had Delia Brown being double teamed a lot in that one, and finding open shooters was key. There's Mbandu. Miami-Dade, though, we mentioned in that first game, the quarterfinal game, that they outperformed their three-point shooting drastically. They average, was it 16 points, or 16% from behind the arc. They're at 14 now, so back to the average for the Sharks from behind the line, but they still have a 5-point lead. They're playing their game right now. Larissa Abreu can't get it to go. How about Anijah Payne just taking it out of the hands of Deasia Gregg? This Sharks team just wants it. You've got Delia Brown all over the floor. You've got Anijah Payne, who's made 7 or 8 huge effort plays in that first half, and there's a big one for her.
And there you got a Hall of Fame coach over on the sideline that I'm sure, you know, still gave them an earful, even though they were up at the half.
Absolutely. There's always things to clean up. You did have 11 turnovers in the first half if you're the Sharks, so that's one aspect you want to clean up. And they did win the rebounding battle. They were just 2 of 12 from behind the arc and 3 of 8 from the free throw line. So
Anijah Payne still looking for her first points of the game.
No good there. It speaks to Anijah Payne. We've called her name a lot and praised her a lot tonight, and she has yet to score a point. It's been a true team player performance from Anijah Payne.
Well, and she just affects the game in so many other ways. She's number 4 in the state in rebounds at 9.5 a game. She's 23rd nationally in steals. And that helped her earn all conference honors, also receiving Division I attention.
Mbandu no good, gathered by Gregg, and she's fouled.
Gregg has already shot 8 free throws in this game. And this is going to be the 3rd foul on Amari Young. So Amari will head to the sideline.
3 early fouls called against the Sharks. Gulf Coast has taken 17 foul shots. This will be 18 and 19. Compared to the 10 for the Sharks. The Commodores getting to the line. 4-point deficit. They hope that their free throw shooting can get them back into this one. Trail by 3. Delia Brown guarded by Farsi. Osmaro outside to Payne. Payne back over to Morrow. Inside to Delia Brown. Stolen by Alana Smith. Kicks ahead to Tatiana Jones. Stolen there by Anijah Payne. So Anijah Payne, once again, she doesn't have a single point, but she's impacting this game. There's Osmaro who gets it to go. Sharks have not let up whatsoever in the second half. They've come out playing just as well as they did in that first 20.
And Morrow's got both of their buckets. She's now the high point man for the Sharks.
Kick ahead to Morrow once again, inside to Abreu. Abreu is fouled. She'll go to the free throw line. It was a tough first half for Larissa Abreu. We mentioned going out. She got rolled up on by Delia Brown. Had to leave with what appeared to be a knee injury, made her way back into the game, immediately got into foul trouble, came back in for the final minute, and as time expired, she got an errant hand or elbow to the face from, I believe it was Deasia Gregg, again, unintentional, but just a series of tough moments for Larissa Abreu, and she still playing hard, no good on that foul shot. Deasia Gregg, Alana Smith now from the left wing. She's long. It's Leah Farsi. Drains it, does Naomi Mbandu on the far side of the floor. Deasia Gregg went tumbling into press row right there over by the Gulf Coast radio team. We've yet to have...
We've been lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, she was right on top of them.
Yeah, there was the. You had a player yesterday, I think it was Devonta Cook of the Commodore men, that also went tumbling into our friends over on press row. We have a couple of basketballs come our way, but no players yet. Of course, the announcer jinx is as tried and true as many believe it is. That means we're due to have a player come tumbling our way eventually. Leah Farsi now, Savannah Slade over to Smith. 4-point lead. Drains it, does Naomi Mbandu.
Wow, that's her 4th three of the game, her 2nd three in this quarter. She's got 8 of her 16 here in the second half. And just like that, the Commodores are back in this game.
Naomi Mbandu with the big 3, and it continues to be a big tool for this Gulf Coast offense. You've got a player, Naomi Mbandu, at 6'2", that can step outside and hit the 3. You've got Deasia Gregg that can play inside. It's just a dynamic Gulf Coast offense, and it's part of the reason that they're able to get back into a game like this, where just a few moments ago they were down big. All of a sudden they've got it back to just 1 point. Here's a look at the Miami-Dade sideline, and Susan Summons coaching up her squad.
And Mbandu averages 14.7 points per game. She averages 2 threes per game, so she's already doubled that up in this one. And a good start to the third quarter. 2 for 5, 40% from behind the arc in the third quarter.
Brown and Morrow driving this one for the Sharks. They both in double digits at 13. It's Naomi Mbandu leading the way at 16 for the Commodores. 4 of 20 are the Commodores from behind the line, so up to 20%. They're improving from behind the line. That's being driven by Naomi Mbandu.
She's leading all scorers with 16 points. Also 8 rebounds, so she's headed towards a double-double. Gregg with a chance for a double-double. 8 points, 8 boards. And Brown and Morrow, 13 points apiece, 7 rebounds apiece.
Look at Rooney Scoville giving final instructions as the Commodores exit the huddle. Send some love to our producer. Right to my left is RJ Murdoch. He's done a fantastic job this weekend setting the stage for everybody. We appreciate all the work he puts in for us.
Absolutely. Officials kept him busy in that Central Florida game.
Mbandu short on that one. Stolen away by Anijah Payne. We just keep saying her name. What a performance from Payne.
Yeah, again, even though she has not scored tonight, she gets involved in a number of different ways.
On.
You know, which just goes to show you can have an off night offensively, but that shouldn't affect your defense and the rest of your game.
That's the mark of great teams, when you got players who are off shooting the ball, but they still contribute. That's one of the trademarks of the team you're going to see in our second semifinal game, the Northwest Florida State Raiders. So many options they have offensively, and a player like, Laura Taylor, the forward out of Australia for the Raiders, who had a couple of tough shooting nights throughout conference play here at home, and anytime that would happen, she would start to attack the glass and hunker down on defense. So
Brown missed 2 free throws in the first quarter, but she's now made 4 in a row.
Alana Smith turnaround jumper. She's long. Morrow grabs the rebound, and Dalia Brown brings it up. So Naz Morrow and Dalia Brown have kind of been driving this one for the Sharks, a 3-point lead, along with obviously Anijah Payne and so many of her big effort plays.
Yeah, kind of an off night so far for Smith. She averages 20.8 a game. The Louisville signee with only 7, but she has only scored 2 points since the first quarter.
So another stoppage here, 4:34 remaining in this third period, and we'll reset things. We'll be back in as we're underway in the second half. I'm Jake Mitchell. He's Mike Wright out. There's a look at Raider President Dr. Devin Stevenson. Excited to see him this afternoon. It's a tournament that has been put on by the Raiders. There's the wave from Dr. Stevenson there, and we appreciate just what the Raiders and everybody here have put on. It's been a fantastic tournament, fantastic environment. And you know, Mike, one thing I've noticed, and this has been my first year here at Emerald Coast TV, so my first chance to call Panhandle Conference basketball. And you know, one thing I've noticed about Raider Arena is everyone that seems to visit always remarks about just how nice this place is. So a credit to Dr. Stevenson and all the staff. They've really got a first-class operation here, and it's been a tremendous hosting job by them as well for this tournament.
You know, I told you, I've been to some, you know, smaller Division I schools, and this rivals some of those arenas that I've been in at the Division I level. So this is a great, you and I were talking about this at the half, I guess. This would be a great place to host the high school basketball state championships.
Absolutely, absolutely. And
you know, in the Lakeland, the RP Funding Center in Lakeland, you know, it's a bigger arena. It just doesn't give you that high school feel as much. By the way, the foul was called on Leah Farsi. That's her fourth.
Key fouls there. Foul shots knocked down by D'Elia Brown. 5-point deficit.
Remember, she made 20 free throws in the quarterfinals. She's made 6 tonight.
Smith inside to Jones, banging around with Abreu, and Jones wins that battle.
That's her first point since the opening quarter. Although she has been in foul trouble, she's got 3 fouls.
She's got a noticeable height disadvantage against Abreu, but Tatiana Jones does not let that deter her at all. She is just playing physically inside. Savannah Slade bats that one out for Rashara Simmons to gather. Cross court and Bondu, another 3-point shot. Not able to get that one to go, but she is fouled, so she'll shoot 3 foul shots.
Yeah, Morrow jumped out there, trying to block the shot and just carried right on into her. That'll be the second on Morrow.
You see that top left tunnel. There's the College of Central Florida Patriot women.
16 points today for Mbondu. 8 of those have come in this third quarter.
Mbondu has been the spark that has put the Commodores back within reach in this one. Still trailing by 3.
By the chance to tie if she can make all 3, and she, after missing her first one, has now made 5 in a row. She got fouled shooting a 3 in the first quarter, made 2 of 3.
Can't get that one to go.
Gulf Coast State College, the defending national champions.
That one rolls around and goes in. 1-point deficit for the Commodores. Sharks look to re-extend that margin. Amari Young, she hit a big 3 early. Also had a few misses from 3, so we'll see what Young can do offensively. There's Alice Markova. How about Markova? She's been a spot-up shooter throughout this one and throughout game number 1, but there she takes all the way to the basket, and it's a chance for an and one.
That's her first point since the opening quarter. She's been garnering much Division I attention for really her tenacious shot blocking. She's 10th in the country in blocks.
That went up and in. Savannah Slade. Now over to Alana Smith, Rashara Simmons. Cross court to Mbondu. Every slight opening in this crowd gets ready for another potential Mbondu 3, but it's Tatiana Jones banging around, and she draws the foul.
Morrow, excuse me, Morrow getting an explanation why the foul was called, why the whistle was blown. Her third foul. Tatiana Jones will shoot her first free throw attempt of the game. She's a 67.8% free throw shooter. And that will give her 5 points. She averages 10.4 a game.
Brown guarded by Simmons. Strong on that shot, gets her own rebound and makes up for it immediately.
8 of her 19 here in the third quarter. That's her first field goal of this second half.
Savannah Slade now inside to Jones. Tatiana Jones, a nice move, but the slight hesitation hurt her on the first attempt, but no matter because she grabs her own rebound and puts it right back in. Oh, fell hard did Rashara Simmons, and then falling harder Delia Brown, but it's Naomi Mbandu who takes the charge.
That's number 3 on Brown. That time she couldn't split the defenders.
This quarter has been all Naomi Mbandu hitting threes, and they're taking the charge. Something you mentioned yesterday when it was unable to contain Delia Brown was Palm Beach State, and the biggest key really in that one was you weren't closing in on Brown. There you close in on Brown, and as you mentioned yesterday, you take the charge. Of course, Brown still has 19. You can only contain her so much. Markova, no good. Slade brings in the board. Kick ahead, Bondu with the basketball again. Inside to Jones, and Jones mishandles it. Alana Smith now with it. A mid-range jumper from Alana Smith is too strong. Smith puts it up again, and once again, she's too strong. Alana Smith, just 7 points so far. It's been a quiet performance from her. Naomi Mbandu has driven this team with 18, though.
Yeah, and she made a key assist, if you will, as Mbandu kind of tapped it over to her teammate to keep the play alive.
Bobbled it for a second to Smith, so we'll reset things. 153, 52-50.
Eight points now for the sophomore. Alana Smith averaging 20.8 points per game, the Panhandle Conference leader, second in FCSAA, 10th nationally. She had a season-high 39 points at number 12, Florida Southwestern.
Alana Smith nails that foul shot. Checking back in for the Sharks is Larissa Abreu. Her game today been well documented. Delia Brown pushing it up the floor. Brown and Bondu have been the two scorers in this one. An elbow jumper gets to go from Delia Brown. That puts her over the 20 mark.
21, 10 in the quarter.
Rashara Simmons inside to Jones. Kicks corner, and Bondu. Oh, no good from Mbandu. Rashara Simmons over to Alana Smith. And there's Alana Smith draining the mid-range, Jay.
That's her first field goal since the second quarter. She's in double figures with 11. If they can get her going, and the way Mbandu shooting the three, Commodores could be on their way to the final.
That tied this one up. There's Tatiana Jones batting it away, keeping it out of the hands. Looked like it was initially going to be Delia Brown that got that board. Tatiana Jones prevented it. And now Commodores with the basketball.
Good battle here.
This has been probably our best game of the day so far. It's been a back and forth affair. There's Markova bringing in that rebound. Two of the best coaches you could possibly pit against each other. Two legendary coaches that there's a travel call, but you know, two legendary coaches, and at the same time you can call them legendary, but they're still in their primes. I mean, these two programs are just as good as ever. Gulf Coast with a ton of adversity, still as good as ever. So it's just an impressive coaching job from both of these two women, Susan Summons and Rooney Scoville.
Yeah, and we talked about the job Scoville has done competing against the Massey Ratings #1 strength of schedule despite battling a host of injuries, including 5 season-ending injuries throughout the course of the season.
Looks like they'll hold for the final shot. 10 on the clock. Shot clock turned off. Instead, Jones will take it. Jones, a chance for an and one, and she gives the Commodores the lead.
8 points in the quarter for the freshman. She's really turned it on. And now a chance at a 3-point play.
This is exactly what we touched on pregame, and how, you know, Alana Smith is usually the primary weapon, but this is such a well-rounded team. Well, Alana Smith, it's been an off night. She hasn't produced at the high level that she typically does, but it's no matter because her teammates are more than making up for it.
Abreu just picked up her 4th.
And Bondu tried to put it back. She was not able to. 1 second remaining. Delia Brown throws it up, and Delia Brown is wide right of the backboard. So we enter the 4th quarter. And really the Naomi Mbondu quarter, you can call that one. 56-54, the Commodores now lead this one as we head into the final 10 minutes, first half of our Women's District 8 Championship game. Just 10 minutes away from being determined. We welcome you into our broadcast position here. I'm Jake Mitchell, and he's Mike Rydell. Officials converging just in front of us. And Mike, that was a surge from the Commodores in the 3rd quarter. If you're the Sharks, how do you counter what you just saw from Naomi Mbondu and company?
Yeah, because Mbondu had 10 of her 18 in the 3rd quarter. And it was Jones, too, that picked up things in that quarter as well. She scored 8 points in the quarter. So give the Commodores credit. This is a team that was ranked #1 in the nation for 10 weeks. It's a good basketball team, #6 currently in the national rankings. But, you know, the Sharks, again, they've got Brown on the floor. As long as they've got number 12 out there, they've got a chance for a victory.
Absolutely. Delia Brown leading the scoring in this one. 21 points for her, 18 for Naomi Mbondu.
Taking a look at some 3rd quarter numbers. Gulf Coast State shot 35% from the floor, 2 of 8 behind the arc, 10 of 12 from the free throw line, compared to 38.5% for Miami-Dade. Miami-Dade was 0 for 5 from three-point land, 63.6% from the free throw line, 7 of 11. Overall, in the paint, Miami-Dade has outscored Gulf Coast 32-20, and they've outscored them points off for turnovers 19-10. However, Gulf Coast has outscored Miami-Dade 17-8 in second chance points. Rebounds pretty even, 36 for Gulf Coast, 35 for Miami-Dade. And the leading scorer in the ballgame is Brown with 21 points, 7 of 16 shooting, 1 of 6 behind the arc, 6 of 8 for the free throw line. She's now got 8 rebounds. Maru's 13 points and 8 rebounds. And Mbondu needs 1 more rebound for a double-double, 18 points and 9 boards for her.
There was a look at our press row friends. Jeff McDonald, PA announcer here. And Frank Gator Heath keeping score. And then a few other schools and conferences represented along press row as we...
There's another important number from that 3rd quarter. Gulf Coast scored 30 points in the first half. They scored 26 in the 3rd quarter.
There's a huge jump in production as Rashara Simmons crosses the half-court line. You mentioned the 17-8 advantage in second chance points for Gulf Coast, and second chance points can be such a backbreaker. When you get the stop, you get the miss, and then somehow the opponent grabs the board. So that has been a big momentum advantage. Alana Smith can't get that mid-range jumper to go, so her off night continues. 11 points. It's not a bad game. It's just not the game we usually see from Smith. Markova takes the deep one. She's short. Brought in by Simmons. Alana Smith does have 3 steals and 2 assists, along with 3 rebounds, so she is contributing to this one, no doubt, and those 11 points are valuable in a 2-point game. Tatiana Jones kicks to Smith, and no good again is Alana Smith. When she runs back on defense, she'll set up Delia Brown, back over to Amara Young. Amara Young takes a 3. She's no good, and it's brought in by Mbondu.
That gives Mbondu a double-double.
Inside Jones. You get Tatiana Jones matched up on Amari Young down low, and you pretty much know how that battle's going to go.
Jones is averaging 10.4 a game. She's now just above that with 12. But she has scored 10 of those in the second half.
Kova no good, and it's brought in by Mbondu. Oh, a nice look from Jones, and there's Alana Smith. So it's Tatiana Jones with the feed, and she gets her teammate going. Just a total team effort from the Commodores here.
A quick 4-0 run to begin this final quarter, so Coach Summons calls timeout. 7:55 to play. Don't forget, coming up next, our second semifinal will be number 5, Northwest Florida State, and the College of Central Florida out of Ocala.
Look at some of the highlights from this one. There's Tatiana Jones getting her own board. That's just one of the many second chance points, and we touched on that a little bit there at towards the end of that sequence. But the second chance points are such a backbreaker, and when Gulf Coast has had so many occasions in which they've gotten the second chance points, it's just a tough blow to the momentum. Tatiana Jones has been really an instrumental player in this one down the stretch for the Commodores. Seems like almost every other one of these highlights that we give you is Tatiana Jones. That was the Jones feed just now to Alana Smith. You see the Gulf Coast supporters that are fired up. A 6-point lead with 7:55 to go.
Gulf Coast State and Miami-Dade have each taken 4 shots to start the fourth quarter, but Miami-Dade has not hit a shot, and Gulf Coast State is 2 for 4.
Views around Raider Arena, this place filling in as the home Northwest Florida State College Raiders will tip off just 20 minutes after the completion of this one. They'll take on the College of Central Florida, and if the Raiders win, the atmosphere in here tomorrow night for the championship game, 7:30 tip, is going to be absolutely electric. Raiders have gone to the locker room now. They were in the stands watching this one, but now they go to prepare for a key matchup. How about Naz Morrow, the nice play there to steal it away, gathered by Amari Young. Up to Anijah Payne. Payne finds Abreu. And an offensive foul. Naomi Mbondu, her second taken charge of this game. Anijah Payne comes up with a limp there. Susan Summons looks like she's going to send in Markova to take the place of Anijah Payne.
Third foul on Payne. But a big turnover there. They had a chance to make it maybe a 4-point game.
Stolen away by Delia Brown. Taking all the way and one chance.
Just the first foul today on Mbondu, but you know, it's tough to stop Delia Brown one-on-one. That's her 23rd point.
Savannah Slade checking in for Deasia Gregg, and Rooney Scoville was not happy with the way that possession played out, especially the foul call against Gregg in such a huge game like this. Here's Alana Smith. 13 points. Alana Smith now making 15, and it was a slow start for Smith, but here in the last few stages of this one, she's starting to heat up.
Yeah, 8 of her points, 8 of her 15 have come in the second half. She averages 20.8 a game. Louisville signee.
You know, it's been not necessarily a struggle, but definitely a battle for her in this one. That Abreu free throw comes up short, that high arcing foul shot. But, you know, Alana Smith, we've said it's an off night, but all of a sudden at 15, she's 5 points away from hitting her season average. So that's the mark of a great player, when things aren't going ideally early on and you just plug away and eventually start to have some success. Alana Smith, and there's a renewed confidence from Smith as she's scored now in the last couple of possessions. Jones kicks outside to Mbondu. Oh, the Mbondu three no good. How about Tatiana Jones there kicking inside to Slade? Oh, and she's hacked hard by Larissa Abreu.
No, they're going to
travel call.
Yeah, because that would have been the 5th on Abreu, so she was fortunate there.
Oh yeah, that was, he's over here in front of our broadcast position talking to Nazmaro, and I think she grateful that the travel call occurred first, because
yes,
that would have been a huge miss for the Sharks.
Yeah. So a chance to get it to a one possession game.
Amari Young wide right. Markova brings it in. Nazmaro inside to Abreu, and it's stolen away by Rashard Simmons. Fast break chance. She's taking it all the way, loses it for a second though. Ball goes out of bounds, and it'll be Miami-Dade basketball.
Yeah, 17 turnovers for Miami-Dade, but fortunate because that's the 19th turnover by Gulf Coast.
A 5-point lead for the Commodores, but it feels like the momentum is in the hands of the Sharks after a couple of mishaps. We'll see what Dalia Brown can do. Final 6 minutes of this one. Smith jumped up for that. Amari Young will take the shot, and Amari Young drains it to bring this one back within 2.
She's got 8, her second 3 of the game.
She made one early, had 3 misses that were wildly inaccurate, but you got to shoot your way out of a slump, and that's exactly what she's done. That 3 right there gets her right back in rhythm.
Foul number 4 on Tatiana Jones. Jones with 4, Farsi with 4. Chance to tie or take the lead on another 3.
Official pointing up at the stands.
I think they're going to try and throw the fan out of the arena.
Talking to the security guard, a Gulf Coast supporter over there, and that's on the far side of the arena, so not sure what words were said, but likely enough. You don't get thrown out for nothing. So.
Yeah, right. Well, he'll have to dial up the broadcast on his cell phone.
Amari Young, just over 5 minutes.
Good defense that time by Greg.
Greg lost it. It'll be Gulf Coast basketball though. 2-point game, tense moments here with just over 5 minutes. We're officially in crunch time. Inside, oh, tipped away by Anijah Payne. Her great night continues. Will she get her first points? Indeed she will, Anijah Payne.
It took her a while, but she's in the books. She's in the books anyway. She's played an all-around game.
Yeah, she's been all over the stat sheet. Those are the first points, but still a great night for Payne. Kick far side to Smith. Smith pumps. Gets it to go. That's the marquee matchup, Smith on Dalia Brown, and that time it's Smith that wins it. Alana Smith has gotten going now. That's 17 for her.
Yeah, including 10 in the second half.
How about Tatiana Jones, the great play inside. Kick ahead to Mbondu. It's 2-on-1, and Mbondu lays it in easily.
20 points today for the sophomore. 12 have come in the second half. Back to a 4-point game.
Gulf Coast surging late. Can they secure a spot in the championship game tomorrow night? Brown kicks to Abreu off her foot. Now it's stolen from Morrow by Tatiana Jones. How about Tatiana Jones? Now Greg gonna finish the possession and a 68-62 lead. Really been fueled by a couple of big plays from Tatiana Jones.
That's the first field goal of the game for Greg. The FSU commit, though, in double figures with 10.
Commodores have taken 27 foul shots. Kick over to Abreu, and a travel called against Dalia Brown. Checking in for the Commodores is Leah Farsi. She'll take the spot of Rashard Simmons, and Dell Gardner will come in for the Sharks. It's Naz Morrow that'll take a seat.
Farsi going to be playing with 4 fouls.
Leah Farsi. Oh, taking all the way, but it's blocked by Danella Gardner. Alana Smith, there's Farsi on the right wing, guarded by Payne. Oh, stolen away by Anijah Payne. Dalia Brown working on Naomi Mbondu. Brown just kind of threw that one up. She might have been looking for the foul call. Works at the professional level, but officials in the collegiate ranks not as generous with the foul call. Deja Gregg gets it to go in the end. One chance for her. 8-point lead. Chance to make it 9 for the Commodores now. They're getting hot at the right moment.
Yeah, Greg, you know, it took her a little while to get going. She's scored a bunch of points from the foul line, but 2 field goals here in the fourth quarter. 80.3% free throw shooter, team leader, 9th in FCSAA. Verbally committed to play at Florida State. Georgia Tech transfer.
Mbondu gets the rebound against 2 Sharks. Over Anijah Payne and Danella Gardner.
So a chance at a 4, maybe even a 5-point play. That coupled with Brown missing at the other end.
Alana Smith goes up, gets a second board. Can't get it to go. Tatiana Jones, who else? Inside, and a huge couple of rebounds for the Commodores.
Very, very big on the offensive end to keep this possession alive.
And a smart decision as well to bring it back out. Killed a lot of that clock.
And Mara lost her footing, so she turns it over.
Looked like Brown and Tatiana Jones collided, and both of them wincing, but look to be okay. They'll stay on the floor. Leah Farsi, she was open, but patience is.
This is a big possession
here. Yeah.
You know, you're looking at a possible double-digit lead with a basket, as we're now under 2 minutes to play in the game.
Draws the foul. So Alana Smith, you know, she's done it the tough way tonight. It hasn't been a game where all the opportunities have come naturally. She's worked for it, and she's now got a chance to get points 18 and 19.
Smith, a 65% free throw shooter.
You know, also helps that got Naomi Mbondu playing so well. The pressure's not on Smith in this situation, because when you've got a team like that around you, she can facilitate, and she's contributed in terms of the steals and assists and grabbed a few boards as well. 8-point lead for the Commodores, under 2 minutes. The window closing quickly, Mike.
Yeah, she's actually one of 4 players in double figures today. Jones with 12 points, and Mbondu with 20, and Gregg off the bench with 12 points.
There's a look at the Delia Brown and one opportunity. So right after this, we have a short break to let the teams warm up and go through their shooting lines, all that comes with that. And then we'll have the Northwest Florida State Raiders taking on the College of Central Florida Patriots. The final semifinal game and our final 4-game day of basketball. It's been a fun 3 days. Tomorrow evening, a 5 p.m. tip for the men's championship and a 7:30 p.m. tip for the women's championship. You can find all the information regarding the tournament at Region 8 Hoops. That's Roman numeral 8, so at Region VIII Hoops. Alana Smith, long on that one.
Smith now 3 for 5 tonight from the line.
Splits the foul shot, so still a productive trip and stretches that lead 1 single point more. Every point vital at this stage of the game. Delia Brown, she's got 23. Gardner pumps, drives, loses it for a second, and that will be a travel call. It kind of got caught between the legs there as she tried to drive to the basket.
Costly turnover there as the clock now down to 1:36.
Leah Farsi, she crosses half court with a 9-point lead. And patience, they'll chew as much of that shot clock as possibly can, will the Commodores. Gives over to Mbandu. She's been the hot hand tonight. 20. Jones outside to Mbandu. 7 on the shot clock. She'll pull up. No good. Deasia Gregg gathers the rebound. Another offensive rebound. And that has just been the way they've salted this game away late.
I think that's going to do it. Some key offensive rebounds down the stretch to keep possessions alive.
Jones on Gardner. Gathered by Delia Brown. Gardner pulls up. She's too strong. Naz Morrow with the end-one opportunity.
15 points for the freshman.
Won't go away yet. Make this foul shot. 71-65, that's a 6-point gap. Just under 40 seconds. Couple of threes, all of a sudden you're tied. So the window is open and, you know, Susan Summons and company are thinking of all the potential paths to victory. This game, anything but over. A standing ovation as Jones for the Commodores heads to the bench. Savannah Slade checks in, but by no means is that a game over standing ovation. We've still got 40 seconds.
That was her 5th foul, so she's going to foul out with 12 points tonight. And the last thing you needed to do was foul and put them at the line to stop the clock to get another point here.
Morrow strong on that one. Slade brings it in.
Well, I'm surprised they're not fouling here. I mean, 32 seconds left.
This is probably the last possession they don't foul on then, but yeah, not even really a ton of pressure here. It's brought in by Gregg, and that should seal it. An offensive rebound. It's fitting that that's the way the game ends. An offensive rebound, and they'll dribble it out. They did that so many times in this last few minutes. And the Gulf Coast Commodores will advance to the championship game tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. here live from Raider Arena. Who will they play? Mike, we're about to find out. We've got one more game coming your way, so 75% of our championship games tomorrow night are set. Between the men, we're going to have the Gulf Coast Commodores and, of course, the Tallahassee Eagles. And here the Gulf Coast Commodores. Women get the victory. We've got a chance if the Raiders are to win tonight. We've got a chance for a championship that is 100% Panhandle Conference. It's really a testament to the strength of this conference, but they've beaten some really good teams. That's a well-coached Miami-Dade team, and now they walk off to the standing ovation from the Gulf Coast faithful, and it's a big one. That scoreline incorrect. That's not the final tally in this one. It's 71-64 in favor of the Patriots. And just an impressive performance from the Commodores. I mean, you go against a team led by D'Elia Brown and such a tough Miami-Dade team.
Yeah.
And the Commodores throughout that second half, they knew how to salt away a game. They got that lead, and it was offensive rebound after offensive rebound. They handled themselves really well with that big margin after that surge late.
Yeah, and it was a team effort. They had 4 players in double figures, led today by Mbondu with 20 points, but Alana Smith had her typical game. It didn't start out that way. She only had 7 first-half points, but she finishes with 18 points. So congratulations to the Commodores. They're now 23-4. They're going to be playing in the state championship game against the winner of our game coming up next.
Yeah, it's a testament to the 2 great players we had, that 18 points from Alana Smith and 23 from D'Elia Brown felt like kind of a pedestrian night, but great performances from those 2 stars and a tough effort from both teams. That's the trademark, I believe, of that game, is just how physically both teams played. Neither of them ever gave up, but it's the Commodores that advance. We've got the Patriots to my right. We've got the Raiders to our left. The final semifinal coming your way here shortly, live from Raider Arena on the campus of Northwest Florida State College.